or Caroline more specifically, was involved in a lot of the aftermath to that. Hello, you guys. What are you doing? Oh my, that's why Pixie is in the middle.
Sure. It's okay.
She's like, gotta keep myself safe.
So Caroline Fan, class of 03. She, her, hers, and we live in St. Louis, Missouri these days.
Kevin Hsueh, also class of 03. We met in college, and he, him, his, we both live in St. Louis, just outside of St. Louis, Missouri, so Webster Groves, Missouri. Slightly before.
But we didn't actually start dating during pre-orientation.
So I have been building, a data repository for my family. So basically, everything is electronic now. So including photos, but there's not really a great place to store them. And so initially I tried these sort of shared flash drives, but now I'm building basically a server in our house that will allow my family to sort of collect photos in there and hopefully be more secure. So that's been primarily what I'm doing. I also play VR games and like figuring out how to groom dogs, small dogs like this, and then trying the never-ending task of repairing our house.
Oh my goodness, you sound like you're busy even with your hobbies and personal projects. Especially the project around your family and the data storage, media sort of storage piece. What sort of inspired you in that sense? What was the spark? What was the moment? Was there a specific moment?
It really was. We had a sort of family reunion several years back, and my project at that point in time was getting an oral history from my parents. And the problem was, afterwards, is that now that you have something, how do you make sure that it stays available? Because it's not for me now, it's for me like 30, 40 years down the line, and my kids or my sister's kids or things like that. So that was sort of what incentivizes. I've been trying to build this for years.
Talk about passing knowledge to your children and future generations. That is so hard in so many of our communities, and so a lot of that gets lost. And so thank you for doing that. That sounds really exciting. Caroline, what about you? Are there any specific projects or hobbies that you like to share?
Well, I am a pandemic gardener. I'm kind of a haphazard pandemic gardener. But it's funny because growing up, I was definitely a black thumb. And so just kind of like whatever grows. And so, it's been fun. It's been good exercise. And, my friend sent me a Meyer lemon tree for Christmas. And my goal was just not to kill the tree. So I've succeeded in that regard. It has some leaves. It's too early for any fruit, but
So it sounds like the lemon tree is among some of the fruits or vegetables you're growing. What specific items are in your garden right now?
Last year, the only thing that, the rabbits and the moles and whatever did not eat were the tomatoes and the kale. So this year I decided to be more adventurous. I decided to start from scratch and from seeds. So I'm working on cucumber, chasito, a bunch of different tomato varieties, strawberry, acorn squash, bell pepper. I'm sure there's some other stuff that I'm not remembering. Nothing has fruited yet. Only my gladiola have come up. I feel like I wear many hats. So I am the president and founder of the Missouri Asian American Youth Foundation, which is the first statewide API youth-focused organization. And I founded it ahead of the census because I knew that we needed a statewide voice. So we do youth trainings. I did a lot of stuff around the census. We're doing a lot of work around redistricting. And, but I'm also a startup consultant. So I helped my friend launch her handbag line, Lux and Nix. And, I am fortunate to kind of have, a foot or in many different ponds, if you will. So I still am involved in politics and community organizing.
Are there particular, especially so this sounds like it started in the past year and a half?
So the organization, I left City Hall, my job at City Hall in 2019, because, census education takes a long time. And so it's been about however long that is.
Yeah, it sounds like an eternity now. But yeah, and what were are there any moments in that process that you care to share? Any sort of reflective moments, epiphanies, or anything that was challenging? I mean, I'm assuming that is no easy task to try to work with, especially, in sort of the environment that we've been in.
Yeah, I think that, when the Atlanta spa shootings happened, I immediately jumped to, okay, well, how do we make sure that folks feel safe and supported? And I was able to pull together a press conference at City Hall within 2 days. I knew that our international students here were not leaving their dorms, right? And unfortunately, I kind of had an inkling of what to do, because when we were at Williams, 9/11 happened and then the backlash. And so many of the international students from Pakistan or who are Muslim, they basically locked themselves in their dorm rooms after dinner. And so I also stood on the Anti-Hate Crimes Task Force here. But it was a lot, because then within that month, so we did that statement, we talked about it. Within a month, I had to write 2 press statements on kind of mass shootings where most of the victims were Asian American because of the Indianapolis FedEx. So that was hard. That was definitely hard.
First of all, I can sense, obviously, the pain in that work, and especially there's a lot in there. And first of all, I want to thank you in sharing that. At least as far as I can say, as a human being, send all the love that I can always to anyone that's doing that work, and share that to you. There's a long way to go, and at least I do feel grateful in hearing your story around also how you're trying to be proactive at a time when, for many people, they may tend to be scared to even be proactive in our communities, in different communities. So thank you for sharing that. I know it's a very painful experience. So,
my professional community is in many ways my community. So I work as an infectious disease doctor at Barnes Jewish Hospital, which is the major hospital here, and at Washington University School of Medicine. And infectious disease has always been one of the medical specialties most impacted or influenced by our societal ills. So, if you look at, the classical example is the AIDS epidemic of the 1980s and 90s. Infectious disease was dealing with a disease that was, in many ways, a disease of negligence and oppression. The reason that it was unknown and managed for so long was because the HIV predominantly did and still does occur in gay men, and so it was a aspect of society that people didn't want to think about. So Caroline and I have been together for a very long time, but my own community is very much, unfortunately, at the center of societal ills as well. So Caroline deals with trying to improve that from, I guess, the society standpoint. I try to improve it from the medical standpoint.
Pixie's been with us for more than 4 years, but she's the best dog.
How did you run into Pixie?
We got her as a rescue. So she was in a house, a hoarder's environment with they said 80 other dogs and cats. We have no idea if that's true or not. But, she was totally matted and looked terrible and was afraid of everything. She was afraid of everything. This is a dog who couldn't walk outside because she was terrified of the outdoors. And so,
She's a scar where they tied her up on her right
so
leg.
we've just been getting this dog to a good state, and she's great. She is the best dog.
Also, we karaoke.
Doesn't bark? Huh?
We karaoke.
Yes, we do that too. She doesn't bark. She doesn't, she's not afraid of lightning. She is quiet. She is relatively obedient for a dog.
She's very polite. But so the dog doesn't love when we karaoke. It's probably more my singing than his. I think I tried it to you.
All right. That's nice.
Because a lot of what I do, I wouldn't be able to do without your support. And, I think what I do isn't easy, and then I'm stressed a lot. So thank you for being a great partner.
That's okay. You are a very good partner too. It is hard. What she does is far harder than what I do. Just you don't need to make it harder than it is.
Also, thank you to this dog.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, first of all, sharing yourselves with me today. And this little bit of your life. I mean, obviously, it's not enough to get to know someone in just a matter of minutes, but I can definitely sense the devotion that you both have to, in different ways, to your own communities, how you define those. The pain and toils that happen, the roller coaster ride of life that we've had, and especially in this past year and a half, and what you do in your own respective fields. Are there any parting words of advice or anything else that you'd like to share with alumni as we have this moment when we're going across the country and trying to find these points of connection?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a hard year for everyone, right? I think that I don't know. I'm grateful for my Williams education because it allowed me to really think across different silos, right? But also I'm really grateful that when we were students, if we wanted to do something, there was always a budget to go and do it, right? And so then I was in a play and wrote a play. We performed the play. Thank God there's no videotapes of that play.
There aren't?
No.
That's ridiculous. It was quite a nice.
I checked with Marcella last time we were there, and we don't have that institutional memory, thank God. But I think that, I've done a lot of different kinds of startups in my life across different fields, and I think that Williams helped a lot with that because, you know, if you had an idea, you could get some funding for it. And that's very, very unique, I think. You know, I work a lot with the different colleges here. And, yeah.
At the very least, they won't put barriers in place. And they'll try to help you. I mean, they won't make it the easiest possible, but yeah.
Do you have thoughts?
My recommendation would be to try and not let what you think your future will be completely blind you to what the present is offering. So, you know, I sort of knew I wanted to be, I did know I wanted to be a doctor from the very, you know, even from when I went into Williams. But what I didn't know was what kind of doctor I was going to be. And there were a lot of people who are like, oh, you should be this kind of doctor. You know, looking around allowed me to meet Caroline. But also, you know, the tons of great friends at Williams that this, you know, probably the highlight of our time there. And, you know, just being in the moment and taking advantage of some opportunities. I got exposure to a side of medicine that I never expected, what's called quality and safety improvement, which is really how to actually be a doctor and lead a hospital to be a actually safe place for patients and to deliver care properly. And that's what I want to do. That is what I am doing. And, you know, I would not be doing that if I hadn't essentially said, okay, I'm just going to take a chance and try this thing that no one really knows what this is, but I'll try it. And so, yeah, and that's brought me to where I am today. And I think Caroline would agree with me. Far better lifestyle, far better workplace, friends, environment than I could otherwise have expected, and far more suitable for my personality, I think.
Oh, one thing I just want to add, because if you wind up at Williams, right, you've generally been a really excellent student and had success in many things.
Yeah, you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
No matter what.
It's just about learning from your failures and then eventually picking yourself up. And sometimes it takes longer than you think, but you cannot expect that you will always have, that everything you do is going to be a smashing success, right? And so you just have to go and do the things anyway.
Yeah, and if everything you do is a smashing success, you're probably not challenging yourself enough.
Yeah. I should show you the socks that my friends made with all our pictures. I feel weird wearing them because then it's like stepping on Brigitte.